little quick. It probably won't be quick, actually. I'm gonna do a little intuitive reading on Justin Baldoni and his wife Emily. As a person that fucks with astrology the long way and really likes seeing how astrology plays out in like real life, and especially how energies between human beings, right, tends to become expressed or visible or, materialize once you actually enter into a dynamic with another person. How these energies interact, how they blend, what is the actual, like, people say, we have chemistry, and I would like to see what the product of that chemistry or that chemical combination would wind up being. Is it toxic? You know what I mean? Is it a poison? Is it an actual, like, rare gem? Is it a drug? Is it something that is going to cure cancer, right? Like, everything, is kind of a chemistry of sorts. And, you really got to see what it actually creates. And then, like, once you do that, then that's how you can determine, what the whole thing was all about. And I love relationships. I love dynamics between people and that kind of exchange, and how psychology and pathology plays a part in everything that we do. And I really started thinking about this particularly, like, when it first came out, I saw that, Justin was a very early degree Aquarius sun, and he, was experiencing that, in like the beginnings of Pluto making a pretty tight conjunction, with his sun. And that's a very transformative time for people. I went through that a few years ago, when the sun, my sun and Pluto was like exactly with each other, 1-to-1. I actually got pregnant with my son, my actual child, and that transformed everything about my life, everything about my identity. It changed me. It made me aware of things that I wasn't doing to protect myself, that I needed to change so that way I could raise this person that was growing inside of me, to the best of my ability. So it made me realize where I needed to grow and where I needed to change, and the parts of myself that I was so resistant to change. Like, I just fucking went through it. And it was one of the most painful times, actually. It was one of the most sobering times. You got to think about, like, when you are going through plutonic transformation, it is a very, like, slow transformation. But what it does is does kind of create a situation where it's painful, especially if you've resisted, especially if you know, were afraid to confront these things that you need to change. It really just kind of, like, because again, your sun is super potent. This is like how you live your life, how you express. Hold on one second. Hello? Yes. Okay. Uh oh wow. Mhm. Really? Mhm. Mhm. Oh wow. Mhm. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That is crazy. Is it like overnight shit or what? Okay. No, actually, because the other option I was looking at was another, like company that was out of Pennsylvania, and theirs was literally like I think 466. They said they told me, but for it to be from Pennsylvania to here, it's cheaper for that. That's kind of I don't know. Okay. Um, let me I had one of the other parents that are in my neighborhood down in Anchorage for an appointment. I'm not sure if she might be able to swing by if she's still there. I don't know. I'll have to check. But if so, how would I go about coordinating that to, pay and... Mm, okay. Okay. Mm. Is it possible to... Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think she did drive. Okay. Yeah, because I was just thinking that I can just get myself a hard case instead of paying. Yeah, I mean, I can try to find one on Amazon today, and it'll probably be here by the time I get the instrument. Okay. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's dry up here. Yeah. Okay. 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 Mhm. Yeah. 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 Sounds like I'm gonna have to do that, honestly. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna ask. Um, I'll double check, see if that's a possibility because I know they were there yesterday. I don't know if they're still there now. Yeah, because I start on Friday, so that does kind of already paid for everything. Okay, not a problem. So I will reach out to her and see if that's possible. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Bye. Oh my God, I forgot what I was saying. Haha. You guys, my cello is so expensive to ship. Like, what the hell? Okay. And then I got a text that one of my son's medicines was like ready for pickup, and it told me it was $734. So like my face was like shocked because what do you mean? 734 pesos? 734 rupees? Like, I cannot. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so back to the Scorpio energy of it all, because Justin and his wife both gave me real like strong Scorpio energy. And Justin really gives that vibe. Like, I was like, is he a Scorpio rising? Is he Scorpio moon? Like, because he looks very, very much like a Scorpio. Um, especially like Scorpio moons, they really have this real internalized darkness about them. Oh, and ooh, damn, I'm zooming everywhere. So they have like this real internalized look, whereas like the Scorpio rising tends to have more of that aesthetic, or even like a certain intimidation factor when it comes to their face. But Scorpio moons, like your internal core is that dark shit. And it's real intense. And I felt like, damn, Justin gives that vibe. So when I looked at his shit, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a Scorpio moon. Now, he's matter of fact a Scorpio stellium. Matter of fact, Scorpio stellium. Moon, Mars, Saturn, and Pluto. Okay? His sun already naturally is squaring Pluto at the early degree Aquarius with his Pluto at early degree Scorpio. So, wow. There was a lot of things I saw about Justin that was like real, like, real interesting. You know what I mean? Ryan Reynolds, he's one of those, one, two. Yeah, he's also, you know, a pretty intensely Scorpio stellium. We got the sun and moon. He has his Mars in Scorpio as well. He has his Uranus in Scorpio, and his North Node is Scorpio. So, again, they're really like duking it out when it comes to this Scorpio shit. But with that Uranus energy in the mix with Ryan shit, that's that unhinged shit. That's that slick shit too, because it's in Scorpio. Like, Uranus is exalted in the sign of Scorpio, by the way. Just like Pluto exalts in the sign of Aquarius. When you have this intense ability to transform and there's a lot of chaos already there, right? Got that, which is the Pluto energy, because Pluto was developed in the Kuiper belt, and it's kind of like all this volatile energy of things. It's like an amalgamation. It was created in a very toxic and chaotic environment. It literally became an amalgamation, a planet, a structure form by all like the toxicity, the debris, the craziness, the waste of the environment. It kind of all became a product of its environment, essentially. So Pluto's that. And you have Uranus or Aquarian energy, which deals with the people. It deals with the unexpected, the breaking against the rules, the status quo. It can be progressive in a way, you know, because it's innovative, you know, really quick to figure things out, and can be unexpected. So this is a lot of like disarming, unnerving energy. And so a lot of people who have a lot of Uranian energy tend to bounce all over the place, do things kind of asynchronously. They kind of like do things a little neurodivergently. There's a lot of, you know, really strong and keen intellect and abilities in some ways, but then, you know, it's just so antisocial to the way society is structured. Like, even when you think about the planet of Uranus, like, it's actually sideways. It's like it's tilted sideways. So like it's rebellious, it's non-conforming, right? So when you have Uranus making a conjunction with all of these different placements, you and his moon, wow, his moon is exactly on his North Node. Whoa. Okay, so anyway, when you get that combination of things, it could go in like the most beautiful, prolific way possible, where this is a person who like really did some deep, intense soul searching, some changing, some like combination of like healing and doing some real alchemical ass shit, some magical ass shit. This is probably gonna be one of the most profound, spiritual ass, deep ass, dope ass dudes. Or you get a person that is a mix and an amalgamation of the toxicity that was in their environment, and they never filtered it out. Instead, now they have just multiplied themselves and kept feeding off of that and growing and becoming even more of this entire like infestation. So you can either become a filtration or an infestation when you have that combination of energies, right? Ryan is a bad boy, or at least he comes across that way. He does a lot of manipulative, sneaky ass things because, again, with Uranus in the mix, there is like a little bit of a trickster, genius energy, you know, like doing something that they believe is necessary to, like, they push back against rules that they don't understand or don't believe in. And then you know get the energy of the Scorpio as well, that's attached to all of this, which is really forming a like a really like I said, it's like this internalized power. It's like I feel like the power that someone would wear as an armor, right? Like with the Scorpio placements, it's like kind of like putting it on the inside, right? And they're like bionic in that way, where this is a person who I feel tried to have as much up their sleeve, so to speak, you know, and understand and see what kind of leverage that they have, because they believe that they know what's best, or they believe that they have something that is necessary or worth exploring, and then, you know, they have to find a way to get their way, especially like Scorpio Mars placements. Scorpio Mars placements have to get their way. I mean, they have a hard time not getting their way. And if they're not getting their way, it's because they've been, you know, put in a position to where they can't, or like taking that choice to make that move is not the best move at that time. And so like they'll find another way around it typically. So like you have a person like him, like Ryan, who has a fuck ton of the Scorpio brooding energy that feels as though that filtration system never actually was built. For him, he became an infestation within himself, toxic to himself and others, right? So when you have that vibe, and then you have Justin's energy, which has that Aquarian energy. He has a Virgo rising, a Scorpio moon, he has a Scorpio Mars, he has a Scorpio Saturn, Scorpio Pluto. Him being ruled by Mercury, right? And his Mercury being ruled by Saturn, and he's also Saturn ruled. This is a person that is very internally disciplined. This is a person that thinks in systems. This is a person that is very like self-governed. This is a person that is self-disciplined. This is a person that doesn't like to speak about things, and doesn't like to speak on things, and doesn't like to create energy surrounding things that he doesn't believe are concrete or like already in the works enough to like materialize. This is not a person that speaks in fantasies. This is a person that speaks in like action. And so when you actually like couple that, plus with him being a sun in the 6th house, and then which is the house of typically Virgo, and then him being a Virgo rising, then when you think about like the Virgo rising and then the sun in the 6th house, this is a person that's always on a journey to self-improvement. And not only is it a journey on self-improvement, but it's a day-by-day thing. it's by his rituals. It's about his habits, his routines. This is a person that actually gives a fuck about how they're doing things throughout their day, how their days are going about, how they're scheduling things, how they're planning things, how they're fitting things into their life the way they're supposed to. This is a person that strives for health, and this is a person who's very self-aware, hyper-aware. Virgo risings are already very aware of themselves. They are very critical of themselves. They tend to, see their own flaws much more loudly, more profoundly than anyone ever else will, right? They know their shortcomings and they're very much aware of them. And, Virgo risings are not the ones that you would, be typically like, if a Virgo rising has an issue, they know about it and they're, working on a plan to resolve it more than likely. More than likely they're working on a plan already, or they already have a plan, or they have some things in motion. But Virgo risings don't need you to tell them about themselves. They know about themselves. They know themselves very well. They know themselves very intimately. And I say this because, Blake has a lot of Virgo in her chart. She's a Virgo stellium, very very potent Virgo energy. And I think like really perceptive, like rising signs, like people who can like really read somebody. Of course, you got like the Scorpio risings who don't really want to be seen and understood and like perceived, but they will perceive the fuck out of you. But then I think Virgo risings do the same fucking thing. They are very good at like seeing what's wrong or what's not all the way right, or telling when something is off. A Libra rising will do that too. They'll notice the shit that's like, this is unsightly. It's like it's clashing. Like they care about the flow and harmony of things. So the way that they'll approach it does feel or seem superficial, because it kind of is. Like they'll notice like your fingernail is hanging this way, or that your toenail is a little chipped or something like that. You got a hair right here that you didn't get, or anything that is off. They will be the ones that typically will point it out to you. The Virgo rising, instead of telling you, will probably try to do something for you, or try to like give you the opportunity to do it yourself. They may suggest something a little bit more like to you in like code for you to go after. They'll try to like speak to you like in code, like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, you wanna go with me? Or come on, let's go. Like they try to put it in a position to where you can be aware of yourself. And that's a lot of times, like that's what the Virgos do. The Virgo is seeing something. The Virgo rising tends to see something that you may not yet know about yourself, and then because they're hyper aware, they would want to know as soon as possible to fix it. And like the Virgo rising a lot of times will try to give you that advice. Like I said, Libra rising will clock it, and sometimes they will mention it like casually, and it won't seem like it's not something that they're meaning to come across superficially or with disrespect, but it will feel like it will feel like shade. But also Libra risings do hold on to like an archive of things that they can use to read the fuck out of you. Like they will notice all of these things and they'll store it until it's necessary for them to pull it out on you. Like a Libra rising doesn't always have to say what they feel, what they think. Like especially if they deem it as something that they feel would potentially bother the next person, hurt their feelings. Like Libra risings actually don't want to hurt your feelings unless they are actually trying to hurt your feelings. Okay? So if they categorize it as this is shade, this is tea, this is me really finna go there with you, they kind of reserve that. They might let some other truths fly that are, not as hurtful or offensive, but, they'll let it go. But the real deep things, they try not to say it unless they need to, unless you give them a reason to, unless you are bothering them and fucking with them. So I said this because, again, Justin has the vibe of a person who's built his own filtration system. Justin has a high level of knowledge that came from his own journey, his own introspective journey. Scorpio moons, that's a very hard fucking place to have your moon. Like, I feel for Scorpio moons on a daily, okay? This year, my solar return has a Scorpio moon. And baby, I'm adjusting. It's not something that I typically like. My moon is ruled by air. I'm very airy, and and earthy, and this deep water is not something I'm fucking with for real. So anyway, Scorpio moons have a hard time in life generally because it is a lot of pain attached to that. You know, people talk about the magnetism that Scorpio energy has, and that is true. A lot of people are very deeply pulled in to Scorpio energy or to Plutonic energy, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, how Pluto was kind of like built and created, right, in this space of this crazy shit going on, all this crazy chaos and debris flying, right? And now things are starting to attach together and bind together and condense and compact with the weight of the gravity and with the speed and velocity and all the fucking other terminologies, right? And it's like the more it grows, like the bigger it is, the more powerful it's becoming. The more things are starting to come, is trying to bring its environment into itself. It's trying to continue to shape and form and create this volatile fucking solution, right? And so if you think about the energy of Pluto, like being that magnet, being that, because it's like it recognizes itself, it recognizes its pieces, it recognizes parts of itself, right? Like the rest of the fucking galaxy, right, didn't come into the formation of Pluto, just the certain elements that were kind of combined that created that space, and they were able to bond and attach and link in a way that it was able to create this really powerful, potent energy ball that in a lot of ways operates like a vortex, right? And so when you think about that, like you think about somebody's sun and how Pluto, which is this sucking, intense energy trying to create a bring it all itself together, create something out of this fragmented shit show, right? When you bring that with the sun, then they themselves do find that they bring a lot of people to the forefront, or they bring things out of people to, and it comes to the forefront. A lot of people will have this very like strong reaction to how the Scorpio person is, because their identity, their energy, the way that they come forward with things, that is going to hit differently, and it's also going to hit differently into every single person and where they kind of stand and what their personal journey with Pluto is. So yeah, they're going to go through some shit. With the rising, right, you got that magnetism, like it's like their energy, their look, the way that, like when you first come into getting in touch with them, like you feel like you're sucked into them, like you're sucked into their eyes, you're sucked into the way that they present themselves, you're sucked into, you know, their form, or, you know, like You want to know about them. You want to know what their story is, what they're feeling, what they're thinking. Like you just you're sucked into them, to their being, to their presence, right? And then when it's the moon, it's a real deep, deep, deep internal thing. It's very powerful. And it's usually safeguarded like hell with a Scorpio moon. So it's like you feel like you're being sucked in, but you run into that pain. You're gonna run into that wall because they not finna let you in. Scorpio moons gotta really assess the fuck out of you. They really gotta test you. They really gotta see what you're about. They really gotta know, are you a person that's safe for them? They really care about people who are real solid. They care a lot about how people move. They care about these things because that really affects them. And they've been hurt and betrayed before, for sure. And yeah, a lot of Scorpio moons, if they don't work and channel through that pain, they'll never trust another person again. They'll never get close to another person again. You'll always be at a distance from them. You'll never have enough on them to really, really, really hurt them to a shattering degree, right? Scorpio moons inherently have a little bit of suspicion toward everything and everyone, and like may not like to think that someone is capable of something or would do something or has done something, but they're not going to put it past people because people have shown them time and time again that people can do anything. People are capable of a lot of shit. And, you know, not everybody's safe. Everybody doesn't have good intentions. And Scorpio moons can fall victim to that level of retaliation towards the world because there's some real deep unhealed things that they just kind of go on a rampage, and a real silent one at that, and destroy the lives of everyone else that they come across because they've never done the work. Seems like Justin really wanted to do the work. Seems like Justin was aware of his own toxicity. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Justin, again, has enough Pluto energy and he has a lot of self-awareness. And there's a lot of subconscious energy surrounding, like his moon, his Mars, like these are, and his Saturn too. They're like very like the actions that he has and like the things that he feels and he internalizes the things that affect them. That's like his karma to like get to the middle of it, get to the core of it, understand it, dissect it, analyze it. This is a person that more than likely has psychoanalyzed himself, more than likely has worked on, you know, childhood, like memories, childhood wound healing, regressions. And this is a person that does probably give a fuck, well, not even does probably, this is a person that gives a high level of a fuck about the spiritual things, the spiritual side of things. And without that spiritual balancing and having a place, like a container for him to like make sense of his own pain and his own trauma and like the suffering of everyone in the world around him, like that Scorpio moon was very like tightly held together by a thread, because life could have went a couple other ways and he could have been just as toxic as Ryan or worse, right? And so that is also going to bring me to the point of his Venus. His Venus is his Atmakarka. Atmakarka is a Vedic, actually it's a Vedic astrology position of the planet that has the highest degree in your chart. And what else? Yes, the planet that has the highest degrees in your chart. And why is everybody texting me right now? And so yeah, so it's certain different like planets that it kind of based off of the planet with the highest to the lowest degree. They represent different kinds of things in our mission in our life. And so for a person with Venus as the Atmakarika, that would more than likely denote a person who's like marriage, their relationship, their wife or spouse, their relationship with like the women in their family, like especially like siblings, sisters, like with this also deals with your art, your creativity. Your lifestyle. Like these things are really, really high up on the food chain for them. And this is like what your soul's here to kind of like to work through. And so a person who has Atmakarika with Venus, like their soul is really here to really experience the pleasures of life, to have luxury, to have ease, to have wonderful like women that come into their lives, like blessings from the women in their lives, especially the blessings of the spouse. Like they are kind of waiting for that activation in some ways for that spouse. Like that spouse is kind of like the cherry on the top. They're going to create a whole new thing. So this man has his shit in Sagittarius, and that's ruled by Jupiter, that rules the guru, that deals with a bunch of stuff. But his wife is his teacher. Women were his first teachers. Women he loved, women he cared for. Women were the people who taught him things that referred to spirituality. So there's a deep reverence for the women in his life and for women in general, and for the positions that women hold in terms of education, leadership, the roles that they play in creation and in education, in guidance, mentorship, spirituality. Like that is real for him. I'm just thinking like, damn, this man is a Scorpio moon. His Atmakarika is Venus. His Mars is Scorpio. His Mercury, like this man really does fuck with his wife the long way. He loves his wife. And him and his wife have some real interesting things because they both have the same moon and Mars combination of Scorpio. First of all, they are one and the same. They're in sync. This is one of those real deeply, deep level of like melding and merging. These are two people who want to melt into one another, who really love each other. When you have a platonic relationship where you guys are meeting each other with your moons one and the same, and your Mars placements one and the same, when you bring each other that energy, baby. Wait, first of all, let me tell you something. Moon to moon synastry. Chef's kiss, okay? Beautiful. It's real powerful. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a conjunction. Although, like with Scorpio moon does really well with another Scorpio moon. Why? Because they will understand where the fuck you're coming from. They'll understand you so much that, like, you don't have to hide shit from them. Like, you got a Scorpio moon who's riding with you, who got your back, bro. Ain't shit that you can't tell that person. Matter of fact, they gonna know all your business before you tell it to them. But they want to make sure that what you tell them and what they've researched about you is adding up, okay? They are real good with the trust but verify, okay? I'm going to hear you out, but I'm going to speak. I'm going to double check, though, and triple check, matter of fact. And I might come back to it a little bit later just to see if it's still what it is. Scorpio moons, like I said, they have a little, you know. So when you have a moon to moon shit like that. Like, again, the conjunctions don't usually rock my world like that. I don't usually think them of like as like the best particular thing. Sometimes you do need somebody that's gonna give you a little bit of a different perspective, or a little bit of a challenge, or a little bit of ways that you can grow. But Scorpio moon to Scorpio moon, that's a deep level of understanding. They have the deepest talks. They are soul to soul on that. They all in with each other on that. Okay? Now, his wife is a Leo and a Virgo Mercury. I'll tell you about these kind of women. These are the kind of women that are very, very, very aware, and they peep the situation and they assess the situation, and they really are low risk when it comes to the things that they're going to involve themselves in, and the things that they're going to stand by, or in the things that, you know, like could potentially like make them look dumb. Like a Virgo Leo energy, right? A person with those two placements, they're not about to let you make them look dumb. Like they not going to stand by you if they haven't researched you, if they haven't taken the time to really check you out and really address you and assess you. Virgo Mercury's, first of all, already be seeing shit before it happened. They already be knowing. So you combine that with a person who has a Scorpio moon, who already don't trust bitches, who already done did their research on motherfuckers. You don't. Let me just. I'm gonna look at it like that. I'm gonna tell Blake, mamas. Before Emily even let her man cast you, she looked into you, bitch. She checked you out. They both did, matter of fact. They both knew about your reputation. They knew it. They knew these things about you, okay? It wasn't to give you ammo, give them ammo. But, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe his wife did, you know, want to make sure she knew, you know, what the fuck you were capable of. But they knew about you. They knew about you. They knew about you. You got to keep this in mind too, right? Like, you dated Penn Badgley on Gossip Girl, right? Penn Badgley is of the Baha'i faith. They know, he knows Justin. If he knows Justin, then he knows Emily. Penn Badgley is a super Scorpio. Okay, you like them Scorpio niggas. That's the biggest thing right there. Let's just start that. Let's just start there. You like niggas with a lot of Scorpio energy. Didn't you like fuck with Leo DiCaprio? You know, Penn, super Scorpio, right? Yo man, Ryan, super Scorpio. Okay? And yeah, just because Justin is an Aquarius, that nigga still got a deep ass 4-planet Scorpio stellium. Okay? So, like, you gotta keep this in mind. You fuck with these niggas because they real deep and intense and all that shit, and you like that shit. You really do. You like a person that sucks you in. You want to be sucked in, right? Especially because, you know, you want that. You want that. You want to feel that intensity, right? Penn was with you when motherfuckers was talking shit about the way you was acting on set. Penn knows you. You don't think that he and oh boy had a conversation where, and the thing about it too, you gotta think about it this way, right? Because I truly believe that the people of that faith, of the Baha'i faith, like, they really take their spirituality seriously, and they take that faith seriously, and they don't want to make assumptions about people and how people can't, you know, grow or anything like that. Like, I think they truly do want to see the best, and actually give people a chance. And, you know, I think that knowing something about you and knowing what you're capable of, and being, you know, told about other experiences that people have had with you, doesn't necessarily mean that he was trying to, you know, use anything against you. I think he truly actually just wanted to give it a chance. But Emily knew about you. Emily knew about you. She knew about you intimately. Emily also has a Scorpio Mars. Okay? Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Mars. Scorpio Saturn too. And Scorpio Pluto. See. But yeah, Emily knew about you, mamas. She knew about you. You're dealing with a bunch of people, your husband, your opponent, and your opponent's wife, who all got a fuck ton of Scorpio energy. Your Scorpio energy is coming through Taylor Swift, okay? I believe I know she's a Scorpio Mars. I think she might be a Scorpio rising, but I thought she was a Capricorn rising, and I thought she was a sun in the 12th house, but I think her chart was either rectified or changed later. So anyway, you guys, and it was really crazy, it's like how like Taylor was like, oh, well, if he was really strategic, then he would have been da 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 da. You don't think that wasn't something that they thought about? He was trying to move off of good faith, though. That's the difference. But they knew enough about what you're capable of and what you're trying to do that they let you do it. Like, they let you really, really prove them wrong. Because they, like, they gave you the benefit of the doubt. And that doubt level was high. But they gave you that benefit, though. And you proved to them that you were even worse than anybody else has ever said anything about you. Right? You have to keep this in mind. Like I said, they know. They are very aware. They knew about things. They have these deep conversations. Scorpio moon placements feel deeply. They have a hard time letting go of some shit that would really hurt them. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, active work, repetitive work, consistent work for a very long time to really work through that. You traumatize this man. Okay? You traumatize this man. I'm gonna be real with you. If Emily thought that her man was really doing inappropriate things with you, one, you wouldn't have been an actress. They would have found a way to kick your ass the fuck out when you wasn't signing your contract. Two, she would have had words, you know, for him, for sure. She wouldn't want to position herself to stand beside him if she didn't believe in him. If she had a doubt, she wouldn't be beside him. He loves his wife, and she loves him. And he wasn't lying when he says that they have climaxes together. what's his name, Justin Baldoni fucks the shit out of his wife. This shit. And it's passionate, and it's emotional, and it's primal, and it's the most beautiful, nasty, magnetic, beautiful thing ever. That man is eating her from the root to the off the bone. He is. He's doing things to her that you probably never had happen to you. Mamas never probably will have happened to you. And he loves his wife at all stages. You know what I mean? And he wasn't looking at you in terms of trying to make you feel bad about just having a baby. Bitch, if he gave a fuck about that, bitch, you wouldn't have had the opportunity, ho. I'm just saying, if that was a real big deal, like, that wouldn't have happened. You would not have been on the set. You would have been you wouldn't have been in the movie. Or they would have tried to do production like 6 months or 12 months of postpartum. Like, this is not something that, this is something this man been working on for years, ho. For years. You don't think that he didn't put those things into account or into consideration? I think that it's real crazy for you to just like make these types of assumptions. Like, they wouldn't have fucked with you if there was an issue for that. That man he got his own shit, you know, that he has to deal with, that he's got to go through. And this is actually just one of them times where he's actually going to have to fucking go through it real bad, though. Right? Because, I mean, shit, you going through this, Pluto is inching his ass toward your son more and more and more. You're going to change. And not only is this going to change, but this is going to transform everything about how he does his day-to-day life, how he lives his life, what he does. Because him creating things and doing the things that he does, the things that he's created, like with the podcast, with the, you know, the contributions to the different charities and networks that he has helped to support for other people, like advocating, being a part of, you know, helping keep people fed and supported through like the housing crisis or through Skid Row. Like, he's been very involved personally in a lot of the things that he believes in and that he talks about. And the way he navigates his day-to-day life is going to change forever because this Pluto placement coming through, hitting his son, and is happening in his 6th house. His health is going to change. His, like, ways that he, like I said, deals with his day-to-day routine is going to change because of that placement, through that pain. Having someone, like, really traumatize you, though, like, again, as a Scorpio moon and as a Scorpio Mars, and your spouse has that shit too, like, they are fighting you. They're not going to back down. That is why Emily is, like, seen as, like, the unsung hero. And again, that's a real Scorpio moon Mars thing to do, to be kind of fading to the background, right? But still helping to navigate the ship. That's some real strong Scorpio shit. She peeped. She's not gonna let you run over her husband. If she didn't think that her husband was worth shit, her Scorpio moon and Mars ass would have really went for his jugular too. There's no way that she's gonna stick by this man while he's like actually actively being perceived a certain way, if she didn't believe in him. It just is what it is.